hit that subscribe button and the bell icon beside it to check out our latest videos before anyone else. Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from Greedy Tech and this is the camera comparison between Vivo V9 and Redmi Note 5 Pro. On the rear, Redmi Note 5 Pro sports a dual camera setup with a 12 megapixel primary camera with Sony IMX486 sensor, f2.2 aperture and a 5 megapixel secondary camera from Samsung for depth sensing. On the front, it sports a single 20 megapixel camera with Sony IMX376 sensor with f2.2 aperture. On the rear, Vivo V9 sports a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel primary camera with f2.0 aperture and a 5 megapixel secondary camera with f2.4 aperture used for depth sensing. On the front, it sports a single 24 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture. Now let's look at some sample shots. Now these are some pictures taken in daylight and well-lit conditions. Vivo supports Auto HDR but Redmi Note 5 Pro doesn't. So all the pictures were taken with HDR turned off on both phones. Images from Vivo look slightly overexposed and colors are to the warmer side. Because of the overexposure, images on V9 look bright but colors look faded. Comparatively, images on Redmi look cleaner and colors look more natural. Capturing speeds and focusing speeds were equally good on both phones. Now these are some pictures taken with HDR turned on both phones. Images taken with HDR on look better on V9, but they lack sharpness. Images from Redmi look dull, but they are more sharper and have better exposure. In this mode, both phones take like a second to capture the shot. Now these are some macro shots. Focusing speeds and background blur effect is equally good on both phones. Now coming to portrait mode, Redmi has a simple portrait mode where it takes a picture with a background blur effect. That's all it does. Vivo V9 has this feature called touch refocus where you can change the focus point and the amount of blur effect after taking the picture. And this can come in very handy in some situations. Now coming to the sample pictures, as you can see, images from Redmi look slightly zoomed in or cropped. That's because secondary camera on Redmi has a different focal length. So comparatively, you get wider portrait shots on Vivo V9. Edge detection works better on Redmi Note 5 Pro, but colors and exposure control looks better on V9. So for portrait shots, I would prefer Vivo V9. Now coming to low light performance, these are some pictures taken in low light indoor conditions. On V9, colors look warm and images are soft. Comparatively, images from Redmi have better sharpness with better colors. Now these are some pictures taken in very low light outdoor conditions. Once again on V9, colors look dull and faded. On Redmi, for some reason colors look saturated. Redmi sometimes overexposes the shot but still has better sharpness. So in low light, Redmi Note 5 Pro definitely takes better pictures. Personally, I like portrait shots on the V9 and in the rest of the aspects, Redmi Note 5 Pro does a better job. Now coming to selfies, both phones support Auto HDR, but with Redmi, you either get good pictures or completely bad pictures. So all these pictures were taken with HDR turned off on both phones. Now both phones overexpose the shot to make the subject or you look fair. Colors are slightly to the warmer side on Vivo, but still has better color reproduction than Redmi. Even the skin tones look slightly better on Vivo. Capturing speeds and focusing speeds are good on both phones, but sharpness is slightly better on Vivo. Now coming to portrait selfies, here are the sample shots. Vivo has better exposure control, better colors and better dynamic range. Colors on Redmi look slightly faded. Edge detection is pretty good on both phones with good blur effect. Now coming to low light selfies, in indoor conditions, selfies from both phones are soft. I don't know if the camera on V9 is smudged or not, but images from Redmi look much cleaner than Vivo. On V9, selfies were slightly overexposed. Now these are some selfies taken in very low light outdoor conditions. In low light, Redmi uses a dedicated soft light and Vivo uses display as the flash. Most of the selfies were taken under the street light and Vivo simply overexposes the shot where my face is completely blown out, while Redmi did a good job. So in low light conditions, Redmi definitely takes better selfies. Now coming to video recording, here's the sample footage. So guys, this is the footage from the Vivo V9 and the Redmi Note 5 Pro. On the left side I have the Vivo V9 and on the right side I have the Redmi Note 5 Pro, and I'm currently recording this video in 1080p resolution on both the phones. On Vivo we can also record in 4K, but we can't do that on Redmi Note 5 Pro, so I'm just gonna record in 1080p resolution. By the way, the audio is from the phone itself, so check out the noise cancellation and stabilization on both phones. So guys, coming to the footage quality, footage on Redmi looks a bit overexposed. On Vivo, footage is warm but has good exposure control and colors look very pleasing. Especially the exposure shift is very well managed on the V9. If I had to pick a winner just based on footage quality, I'll pick V9 as the winner, but just because of the electronic image stabilization offered by the Redmi, I'm gonna pick Redmi Note 5 Pro as the winner for video recording. Now coming to the front camera, here's the sample footage. So guys, this is the footage from the front facing camera of Vivo V9 and the Redmi Note 5 Pro. I have the V9 on the left side and the Redmi Note 5 Pro on the right side, and audio is from the phone itself, so check out the noise cancellation and stabilization from both phones. Right out of the box, at least by just looking at the preview, I can clearly say that the color reproduction is much better on the V9. And the footage also looks much brighter and cleaner on the V9, while on the Redmi Note 5 Pro, it has issues with exposure shift. Now for the front camera video recording, both phones lack stabilization. On Vivo, we can also record video at 4K resolution. On Redmi, we can only record it at 1080p. Footage on Vivo looks overexposed, but exposure shift is much better than Redmi. When there is a bright background, subject becomes completely dark on Redmi, while Vivo does a better job controlling the exposure. So guys, to conclude, both phones have their own pros and cons. Vivo V9 definitely has better hardware, but it has issues with software processing. If it can fix that with an update, it will perform much better than the Redmi Note 5 Pro. For portrait shots and portrait selfies, I like the Vivo V9. So in a way, we can say rear cameras are better on Redmi and front camera is better on the Vivo, with some issues. So guys, looking at the sample pictures and the sample footage, which phone do you think did better? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you are planning to buy either of these phones, use the link in the description. It really helps the channel. If you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and I'll try to make it as soon as possible. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to see more cool videos on tech. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.